What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Armchair Wrestling. I am your host, as always, Top Boy and number one booker, Alex Benison. I'm joined by lukewarm Jack Robshaw.
I'm telling you, it's lost its thing. Since Wrestle Talk nicked my gimmick, I'm just nothing anymore.
Right, no, those thieving twats can fuck off. It was your gimmick first.
No, in fact, having seen one of their videos today, I believe that what I have to do is nick the gimmick back. So I am the cutest man in professional wrestling, Jack Robshaw, kawaii.
Fuck me. It's
I
not
I don't even want it, but I am definitely stealing one of theirs back.
And Mr. So-Called Uncensored himself, Casey.
Yeah, no gimmick theft over here. How we doing?
I mean, there used to be.
There was a So-Called Uncensored.
No, there was a genetic freak.
Well, yeah. But due to a cease and desist letter, not from Scott Steiner's lawyers, but from Scott Steiner himself, we have bravely decided to step away from that one.
Don't blame me on that one.
That and having the bollocks to say it when Ken Shamrock was on here. I think we pushed that as far as the envelope would go. But as you can tell, we are joined by two very special guests. We are joined by Sam and Dan of the Sweet Chinwag podcast. How are you doing, guys?
Good evening.
Yeah, doing very well. Ready to get into it and talk some NXT.
As well as you can be on this shit show of a podcast.
You managed to survive on ours, so we'll probably survive here.
We'll see.
With this subject matter, I imagine it's probably going to be just a lot of a lot of oh god, why?
A lot more. Oh god, why?
I think it'll be more, oh God, how?
That's understandable.
A little bit who? Yeah, so before we do get into the main body of this, which is NXT and the shit show of call-ups, and yeah, I mean, there's some good in there, but mainly the shit show of call-ups to the main roster. Sam, Dan, do you want to run us through Sweet Chinwag podcast and what you guys do over there?
Oh God, Dan, will you take the floor on this? Because what I usually say is this all became a happy little accident, to take a quote from Bob Ross.
Do you want me to do it as I'm the one with the camera?
Yeah, but yeah.
Remind me, we've got money we can spend. We can probably afford to buy a webcam for you.
That's true. That is true.
Probably should have already done it by now, but that's a side point. Yeah, so just a little background to us. We originally started because a friend of ours had a Discord server. We all ourselves enjoy talking sports anyway. All three of us are football fans, and for example, I follow things like ice hockey, basketball, other bits here and there. And so my friend was like, "Yeah, we'll give you this little space to talk about it." And in the course of having that, I didn't even really know how. I think it was just kind of by coincidence of both me, you, and Reardon all happening to start sharing wrestling gifs.
Yes.
Basically, we had this space and we just kept sharing wrestling stuff in it. And so my friend was like, please start a podcast, get your own space or anything, please. Just don't do it here. And so we thought, yeah, screw it. Let's do it.
So through peer pressure and resentment alone, a podcast was born.
It's amazing what some people can do out of spite.
Well, we'll probably see some fairly spiteful booking coming up. So
yeah, that kind of got us originally started around May last year. And we've just been going ever since then. We love talking the older side of wrestling. We love talking about things like classic British wrestling, how wrestling fits into the more general scope of like British culture and things like that. You get lots of really weird crossovers. Basically, we just like talking weird stuff in wrestling. Is the easiest way of explaining it. And enough people apparently think we're good at it to warrant a listen. So that's really been the most of it. And as we said, we are just three guys that love talking wrestling. There's not a whole lot more else to it, really. We all have our own little niches that we cover. So I know Sam does a lot of like the indie stuff, Ring of Honor, New Japan.
I am the Mark. Hello.
I'm a lot of kind of 90s WWE and then more recent independent stuff as I've kind of dived myself into that world and gone off the deep end with it. And next thing you know, I have like people messaging me going like, "Oh, I saw you liked a tweet about Dragon Gate. Why don't you talk about them more?" And then I have to say that's because like I follow like 2 accounts and they occasionally share GIFs. I'm trying to do more. Please don't hassle me. And then Rin's just kind of our more casual guy, but he's super good to have because sometimes you just need that perspective. He mostly knows WWE. WCW, that kind of stuff. So we all kind of strike a nice balance with each other.
It's weird having a balanced podcast on our podcast. It's just really, really not balanced. So where can they find you guys? I know we've got it scrolling across the bottom. If you are watching this and you don't follow him, go to Twitter and follow @SweetChinwag. But where can they listen to you guys?
So we've got our Twitter and our Instagram. You can follow us there. We're much less regular on the Instagram, but we are there if you want to reach us. But we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud. I know I spoke to Sam recently about getting on some more. I don't know if we actually confirmed those yet, but
I'm working
on the
it,
big
as
ones.
they say.
Yeah.
I mean, we made merch out of the fact we're always forever pending on other platforms. So
yeah, that is true.
That is our gimmick.
So, before we get into NXT, there's 2 things that we probably need to speak about since we've been away. So we'll talk about the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame's been announced that it will take place on Tuesday the 6th and it'll induct both the 2020 and 2021 classes in the same night. God, no Hacksaw Jim Duggan speeches, please.
If anything, I don't want any Hillbilly Jim or Ric Flair like speeches, please, for the love of God. I don't.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to be worrying about a contest of who can have the longest and most awkward speech. I mean, the only thing that I've really followed up on has been the fact that Molly Holly was announced for the Hall of Fame. She was the first inductee, which I am super, super hyped about.
Oh,
there you go. We've got down at the bottom there as well.
Like he knew.
I mean,
only giving it one gratulation though, just the one. It's like a single,
just like Ghostbusters for the NES.
Yes, you get the one clap.
She's the first, so.
I mean, we've spoken before on our show about how much we absolutely love Molly Holly.
Oh man, it's crazy because I know, like with last year's one, like we had, I believe it British Bulldog, we had the Bella Twins. I believe JBL was also announced. If correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and
Batista, Jushin Liger, and the Bella Twins. It's just like having Liger and the Bella Twins in the same kind of sentence is very weird for me. But no, Molly Holly, so deserved, thoroughly deserved of her getting her a call for that.
Yeah, she was she stood out a lot for not just being typical of the era. Like if she'd have come 10 years later, or probably 15 if I'm being honest, she'd have been such a bigger star because she was so much, I don't want to say better because better's a bit harsh, but she was so much more committed to it than most of the people around her.
Yeah, I mean, definitely part of that is being an environment where she was trained by Bob Holly. So I can imagine on any worker that's going to have quite the impact. I mean, as well, though, I think one of the things that people forget is just how important she was to when they were doing the Hollies versus Dudleys feud.
Yeah.
The Romeo and Juliet story.
Yeah, the Romeo and Juliet story, which gave us one of the weirdest but most enjoyable matches of all time, where Kurt Angle absolutely kills Spike Dudley in like a 2-minute squash match.
But it all comes full circle as well because Spike Dudley in real life was like an English lit major, wasn't he?
Yes,
and I think if you watch what's the wrestling documentary now?
Which one?
There's a lot of them, mate.
The one that's not on the WWE network. But yeah, when he's asked about that, he actually quotes Shakespeare. So it was quite nice to go full circle and get him in a Romeo and Juliet storyline.
Did he say that? Did he basically say because there never was a tale of more woe than that of Spike and Holly Mo?
Mo.
I wish.
Mo.
The course of wrestling feuds never did run true.
Yeah.
the only problem with this is the main memory now that I'm going to have of Molly Holly is her last Rumble entry where she spiked herself and then was laid absolutely knocked out just in the middle of the ring. Poor Molly. Well,
that's a no bueno from me.
That's where you get your second congratulation from.
Yeah.
And the next Hall of Fame, well, the Hall of Fame worthy talent that's moved to AEW, Christian Cage.
Wow. I was so happy.
Yeah, so happy for this one. I know a lot of people, I think this is the problem I feel a lot as well with the IWC and social media in general, is that when one person says one name, that creates a snowball. So someone's got to top that name to then top that name and to top that name. So when I saw this, I was hyped. But then I was also like, people were so disappointed. So, I wanted it to be Brock Lesnar. I wanted it to be Scott Steiner. I mean, I would have been amazed if it was Scott Steiner. Because come on, it's Scott Steiner. But
you thought that was bad. I was expecting the Iron Sheik.
he's calling out Soldier Boy, isn't he? He calls out.
I mean, yeah. So this was the thing that I was talking about when we did our recording on Saturday, which was people. Like the problem is that people start whipping themselves up into the frenzy.
Yeah.
So you get to the point where whoever it is, unless it was like, I don't know, CM Punk came out of retirement or something, no one's going to be satisfied. And so you have all these people going like, it's a Hall of Fame worthy talent. It's one of Tony Khan's favorite people, etc., etc. You're running through. I'll be straight up. I just thought it was going to be someone from New Japan.
You see, I went into it, and I know I messaged Alex about this privately, but I said I think it's going to be Kurt Angle, but I want it to be Christian.
Yeah.
So I was not one of the people disappointed. I was absolutely delighted. To be honest,
none of us three were disappointed at all. We all absolutely love Christian. We watched the video back and we're like, oh my god, that's his TNA theme.
Yeah, that was the best
explode in happiness.
That was the best bit for me.
I do have that on my iPod as well. It is a classic.
Oh yeah,
an instant classic, you could say.
Well,
classic.
Fluid.
But no, it's further proof as well that Tony Khan is a massive TNA mark.
I'm here for it.
Mid-2000s TNA mark because everyone's a TNA mark.
If it is the slow burn to eventually find a way for Tony Khan to get Monty Brown back in the ring, even if it's only once, I'm here for it.
Yes.
Oh, Monty Brown versus Brian Cage.
Yes. Book it now.
Monty Brown versus Will Hobbs. Surely.
Well, just you wait until to bring back things stop fires
everywhere.
What was it that Big E says? Two big beefy men bumping meat.
Big beefy men slapping meat.
Well, talking about slapping, let's go to Randy Orton's leg slap school of NXT. You know what? I went to the Wikipedia of NXT because where you're barely gonna get the most reliable sources to go to Wikipedia.
Oh, of course. Well, let me just say it's a more reliable source than WTBdotcom.
And I'm not gonna lie, I forgot that it used to be a game show.
Oh, we've never forgotten. We've never forgotten.
Oh boy,
we are reminded and haunted of that fact.
I'll never forget Gully Bully. No one shall ever forget Gully Bully.
What are you going swimming?
What is a mustache?
Oh God, what was his name? Eli
Cottonwood.
Yeah.
Oh God.
You know that you
You know,
have to
you know,
not.
I'm still
You have
pre-
to not be that good to be 7 foot tall and not get anywhere in WWE.
There's something about it, 'cause I saw a video with him cutting that promo the other day, and there is part of me that is still convinced that like that's actually Braun Strowman. He just went away and ate like a boatload of tuna and bench press cars for a couple of years, and then came back.
Possibly. I mean, because I remember the last time we spoke about Game Show NXT was when I want to say it was when we were talking about finishers.
Yes, I believe
Because
you're right.
I mentioned what I like to affectionately call "Whatever the Hell That Was" by Byron Saxton.
Yes. I'll be honest, I don't even remember what Byron's finisher was. I didn't watch much of Game Show NXT.
It was a side Russian leg sweep into half Nelson into neck breaker. It's one of the most confusing moves you've ever seen in your life, and it makes no sense. The best bit about it is I believe it was Chris Masters, who was on the apron, who was confused by it and didn't realize that was the finish. But yeah, so we're kind of constantly haunted by the presence of Game Show NXT, especially when you think about NXT as it is now as an all-over wrestling product.
So the 2010 Game Show, basically, it was a merger between that and Florida Coastal Wrestling.
Florida
FCW.
Championship.
Yeah. Or a
FCW.
championship.
Oh, the Championship Wrestling.
There is Coastal as well, but that must be a different thing.
Yeah.
But so they merged together, as Tyler X once said, FCW was where wrestlers went to die. Lovely way to put over your company.
Oof.
I mean, we've spoken like a tiny bit about FCW, and it's certainly interesting going back and watching some of it and hearing the stories about people when they were there.
They put out like an hour-long documentary about it.
Yeah,
I think about a year or so ago, and you're just listening to people talk about. Yeah, we were in this warehouse. We had to get changed at like the chicken place over the road. It was awful, but hey, they had some massive banners from SummerSlam a couple of years ago, so that was nice.
But it's where many of the original NXT roster started in WWE. The original developmental brand.
It kind of it replaced OVW after they kind of ceded that territory and broke off the relations. I believe OVW then went and became the developmental for Impact.
Al Snow bought it and merged it with Impact. But yeah, so then we end up with little network specials, pre-show things. You know, you get the tournament for the first NXT champion, which Seth Rollins beat Jinder Mahal in the final.
Yeah, we did.
He did.
And Jinder would go on to do big things.
Of course.
A lot better than Seth Rollins.
Oh yeah, he's definitely. I think that if there's one thing we can all agree on, it's that Jinder there is the superior worker.
You tell me, but did Seth Rollins debut for one of Inoki's promotions? I think not.
Yeah, you know what? This was
That's
even
a niche joke for all two people that know it.
This was pre-Roydie Magoo Jinder as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we end up getting a NXT Arrival pay-per-view. But that is after we get our first NXT call-ups.
Yeah, because there were a few people that kind of filled it in the interim space.
So, some of them wearing some lovely turtlenecks.
Yeah, lovely little trio started. And to be honest, I don't know what happened to one of them because one of them just disappeared and we've not seen him since. But a little trio by the name of The Shield debuts.
Which, if memory serves me correct, was supposed to be, if CM Punk's appearance on the Art of Wrestling was anything to go by, it was supposed to be Seth, Dean, and Cassius Ohno, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I've also heard that it was meant to be Seth, Dean, Roman, and Big E. I've heard that before as well.
As
That
much
would
as
make
as much as
sense.
I like Chris Hero, I think that they made the right choice.
They definitely made the
Absolutely.
right choice.
God, there were a bit in the middle though where we weren't sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, I love Chris Hero. Absolutely love Chris Hero. But yeah, there is something about
Him
that-
being part of the Shield that doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah, he just maybe it's that his hair just doesn't look as good when it's wet as the other guys. I don't know. But
That is true.
Yes, it's weird because we were sort of speaking about it beforehand. Thankfully for this podcast, Reddit decided to do all the way up to just 2017. But luckily, it tells you the developmental titles that the 3 members of the Shield had. So Roman was a FCW Tag Team Champion. Seth was heavyweight tag team NXT. Dean Ambrose held nothing.
really tells you where they held him in their esteem.
You can see that probably Vince just saw his CZW matches and just went, no.
That's pretty much what we assume.
As for the debut itself, it's a very good one. It puts you right at the top of the card immediately.
Yes.
No, that's absolutely. It's one of the best debuts they've done in recent time.
Like there's so many of them now, and I mean, obviously, we will talk about some of them later. But where the debut just makes the talent involved look like they're not important and not special, whereas this did the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, I think the running theme of when we get into talking about the call-ups is that general idea of it always kind of seems like they're doing the call-ups as like an afterthought. They're just like, oh, this person's going to be here next week.
Well,
rather than anything to actually, get people excited about someone new coming to it.
that was always one of the things I found annoying. Like, there was always the hype around the post-Mania Raws. It's like, oh, who's going to get the call-up? And it's just like, and their show, and they built a show around, look who's here now. And that was the show. And you were like, oh, it is Apollo Crews. That's nice. Are we going to do anything with him? Who no, I don't know. But look, he's got muscles and does flips. Like, that's madness.
I can remember watching that Raw, and I think all 3 of us went, Apollo, now? Really? It's a bit quick.
I'm glad I'm not the only one on that.
But to be fair, the story that you heard about Big E being part of the Shield might have some legs because it was only a month later till he debuted as part of the faction of Dolph Ziggler and AJ Lee.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, the muscle for Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Smacking AJ in the face.
I was going to say, do you remember him just fucking flexing and he just slaps AJ Lee like square in the chest?
He wants to say...
And AJ Lee no-selling it like a champ.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing because, honestly, if you saw Big E next to AJ Lee, you'd probably think that you'd tap her on the back and snap her in half. So she takes the hit incredibly well.
You can see the concern on his face, but at the same time, he doesn't want to break character. It's that thing of he's like, oh god, I did something wrong. I can't show it though. You know what? In fact, instead of running through these in order, because I mean, like I said, there's far too many. There's over 100. We'll be here for hours.
What we will do is we'll turn it into we can start the fire, but with all the names from NXT.
Big E, Fandango, Summer Rae, Curtis.
Oh no, wait, sorry. Cultaholic have just sent me a text asking us not to. My bad.
Damn you, GT. That's the second time he's
not a fucking cease and desist. So, best call-ups, because let's be honest, this might be few and far between. Yeah, we've mentioned probably the best.
Yeah,
we've probably mentioned the best with the Shield because look at what they went on to do. But
yeah,
Can I guess Jack's now?
I bet you're right.
Is it Kevin Owens?
It is indeed Kevin Owens.
Because
Owens,
he loved Kevin Owens, and it was a great call-up.
Yeah, Kevin Owens, as I have said many times, is my favourite wrestler ever. So
Don't blame you at all.
Yeah, but so I went in with a bias, obviously, but that was a great call-up.
No, it was absolutely fantastic.
Straight up to feud with the guy who has been the top guy for 12 years or whatever it was at that point, and then beat him clean in your first proper match. Yeah. Oh, this guy's a star then. Like, and the match is really good. I love the reasoning of, no, I don't want your US title. I've already got my prize. This is more important than yours. And obviously, it was the promo when it was the John Cena trying to give him some veteran advice and him saying, I've been doing this longer than you have, so you don't get to advise me about anything. And it just, again, I'm not new. I'm not some up and comer. I am a star. Treat me as such.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken before about how absurd we find it about WWE's insistence on not acknowledging anyone before they enter WWE. So I really appreciate Kevin Owens being able to get to do that and be like, hey, wait a minute, I've been doing this for years on years now. I know what I'm doing.
Honestly, it was a simply outstanding debut. Just like for me, it's like that is kind of like the bar that's set for any single star that wants to be, or gets called up to the main roster. I can't fault it, from the promo to the match itself, and then leading on to a rivalry with Cena. It's just I can't fault that.
And I think one of the best parts about that is yes, you are putting him in with the biggest name in the company, but it's still over the US title. So even when he comes out of that feud, there is a next level to go to. So they have this insistence now. Keith Lee's done it already. Like, let's get Keith Lee up. All right, let's put him in the world title picture. Like, no, let him win the Intercontinental title or US belt for a bit and have a run with that, and then move him on to the next level.
Or at the very least, actually push him.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'll have you know he's had about 5 matches that have gone to a no contest. He's being protected.
Yeah, but 3 of them are with
nothing.
Randy Orton. To be fair, though, Kevin Owens, one of the best call-ups, also one of the best NXT debuts as well. Because the crowd is so hyped. He has that decent match with CJ Parker, and then
when he gets his nose broken.
Fuck me, that palm strike. Slaps his leg, but you really didn't need to.
Have you ever seen the tweet that Juice Robinson sends him every year on the anniversary? Happy anniversary of me breaking your nose and us becoming best friends.
And the birth of the ring apron powerbomb. Oh, poor Sammy's back.
Yeah, no, it is one of those. It's one of those spots that you just kind of see and you're like, hi, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Kevin Owens was the originator of the I'm not finished with you. When he did that to Sami Zayn. Not Braun, it was Kevin.
Because I believe that takeover, me and Jack actually watched together as well, with Jack being incredibly hyped, because I'm pretty sure you were just off the back of watching the ROH DVD about the El Generico Kevin Steen feud as well.
Yeah, it was Steen Generico was the thing that got me into independent wrestling. I know that ROH isn't indie-ish of the indies, but that's the thing.
No, if you're talking like ROH circa like 2005,
that's before Sinclair, isn't it?
Yeah. No, that's like they were like, I guess you'd call it like the indie powerhouse, whereas all the other indie wrestlers came to like face off against each other.
But yeah, that was the thing that got me in, and I didn't see it right at the start. It got me in towards the end of it, and I went back and watched the whole thing. So of course, as soon as he debuted in NXT, I was primed for it. And then to immediately go into Zayn Owens, I was like, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted.
Go on then, let's throw some more names out there. Other good NXT call-ups.
I think the obvious one you have to throw out is Charlotte. Like, she has just been an absolute success in that company.
Shall we just say Divas Revolution?
I would just say that, like, although it's been a massive success, I don't think the debut itself was that good because that was all the Team PCB bollocks and Team.
Yeah, I mean, part of what I was going to say was I don't mean to be rude to Charlotte because a lot of the stuff I end up saying about Charlotte, people take as me being rude, but I feel like it would have been kind of difficult for her to be anything other than a success.
I don't know, man. I've seen that creative. They find a way quite often.
Yeah, I mean, that is true, as we'll mention with a bunch of other people coming in soon.
That is a group of people who looked at EC3 and thought, he's really good on the mic. Let's give him a mute gimmick. This is one thing.
So he has one job.
He can point, you know.
But no, Charlotte, obviously, she had the whole background, but like her build-up in NXT was fantastic. Yes, the three-way, three-team thing was weird, but it did still elevate her to the top of the women's division very quickly.
Yeah.
And as much as she's becoming essentially, I'm going to say the Brock Lesnar of the division, in as much as she just turns up and wins the belt again.
Final boss.
Yeah. But yeah, she is also, I think, as an all-around performer, head and shoulders above anyone else in the women's division in that company.
I wouldn't quite go that far, but she is right.
Yeah, I would. I don't know that I'd go that far. Again, I can't wait to have more people message me and say, "Hey, why are you ragging on Charlotte so much?"
See, I'm not popular enough for that, so it's fine. I can say what I want.
I'm just the one who handles the social media account, so it's normally me that gets it.
Yeah.
See me really skulk in the background there.
No, that's a hell of a point. We should start saying irrefutably incorrect opinions because Alex is the one that has to deal with it.
Fuck off.
That's what Raiden's been doing for like the last 4 months.
I swear to God.
No, but
and you know what? I just won't reply.
That's pretty much what I do now.
On that though, I would say like Charlotte and Asuka, I'd say share the same pedestal at the moment with the women's division.
I agree because I absolutely love Asuka. Like she is, if it was up to me, she'd just be the champion for about 3 years.
Yes,
but it's the fact. The only thing that holds her back is nothing even to do with her. It's the fact that they seem to have this real issue with having a foreign person either speak broken English or subtitle promos.
Yeah,
if they allowed that, not a problem. Although I did love at the start of the empty arena stuff last year when she was just going on commentary and just screaming into the microphone for 5 minutes. Gold. Absolute gold.
Arguably better commentary than we're getting on Raw or SmackDown right now.
Oh my. Vintage Dan there.
Sorry, every week I have one of my friends who just constantly messages into our WhatsApp chat and just complains about SmackDown commentary every week.
Wait, hang on. Is that the one Michael Cole's on?
Yes.
Yeah.
That will be why.
One debut that I think you've got to talk about in the best call-ups. Maybe you can look at it in 2 ways. As a group or as the single competitor that came out of it, the Wyatt family.
Yes.
Definitely the best video packages before the debut.
Absolutely. I mean, we're huge Bray Wyatt fans. I am myself, and I loved everything that he brought with the Wyatt family gimmick.
I was a huge fan of that, especially early on. There's something legitimately creepy about him, which helps. You can all go. When he has something to say, he's probably the best promo in the company.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things about
Him or Joe.
about Bray is just the level of detail he goes to. And if you've ever read any of the stuff that he said about it, about how like he was looking into a whole bunch of different influences for stuff, and going through like, I mean, he's a massive comic book fan, and so was drawing stuff out from like Watchmen. And like he was saying, like he actually looked into actual cults to influence the character.
Yeah. The main problem that I had with it, and it wasn't at the debut. The debut itself, I agree, it was brilliant. He was a cult leader who could barely recruit anyone, and that didn't help. He needed to. He didn't need. You don't need to go NWO. You don't need to give him 30 people, but I mean, there's like 10 people in the Dark Order. They could have got away with 10.
Yeah, it's kind of like, they did it for the straight edge society, and he didn't really recruit anyone there, did CM Punk.
No,
History's repeating itself.
Got people to shave their heads. That was it.
Yeah.
Wow, you're out.
Poor Serena Deeb.
Joey Mercury.
Yeah, well, yes.
Oh.
But yeah, like I said, you could look at that as a faction or as the singles competitor for Bray Wyatt. To be fair, I would say Eric Rowan was the loose end from that. But I don't think he did awful in his WWE run.
I would say Rowan did better than I would have expected going in. Like, as much...
Yeah, no, I'd be fair with that.
So I can't complain.
To get a spider over. Right at the tail end of his WWE.
Yeah, to be fair, that was just him being given something that they were like, that's a 5% chance to fix, especially when you hear his original idea that he had for it as well.
Yeah. When he's putting his hand in, he's getting bitten by a toy spider and it's coming out covered in blood, and then he's rubbing it on people's faces. Rowan.
Like, genuinely, if you look into it and you find his interviews and he was talking about like his original plan for it, it's absolutely bloody insane.
I never saw it. I don't know what his original plan was.
It basically went everything from an actual live animal to seeing if they could get a person who was literally small enough to fit in the cage.
Oh, Jesus.
It's genuinely insane to read. Yeah. It's like something from like fucking American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Is it Russo or Cornette that says if it comes out of a box, it's over?
I think
it's probably one of them.
Like,
but I've stopped listening to either of them, so I wouldn't know.
I don't know for certain, but I do believe that's a Cornette line. I couldn't swear to it, but I think it is.
Yeah, I don't know if that applies if it comes out of a cage, but...
Or an egg if you're the gobbledygooker, but I digress.
You leave Hector Guerrero alone.
Hector Guerrero gets a pass. The Gooker, though, no.
I mean, oh God, this list. Although for everyone that kind of stands out, there's about 12 more that you just feel bad for.
Yeah, because I think part of myself looking on this is thinking like, oh, the moment of the call-up was really good, but everything afterwards has been bad. Because I was going to say one of my favorites was Bobby Roode. But just because they gave him a bunch of presents, they still made him seem like he was important. It's just that from that point, it was basically just a downward diagonal line.
Yeah.
It's so depressing because that man is main event talent. And we all know he's main event talent, but oh God, his main run has not been great at all.
I must admit, I like Bobby Roode, but I didn't think that he was going to do a great, because I didn't like his NXT title run at all. The stuff between the title matches was good, but I didn't particularly like the matches that much.
I
agree that the debut itself was pretty good.
If I had to say one that had the longevity and one that still sticks out to me right now, then I would just say Sami Zayn.
Yes.
Just because of having the hometown crowd, having everyone being introduced by Brett at your hometown crowd against John Cena, really the only unfortunate about it is just him absolutely ruining his shoulder in the course of the match.
Yeah.
You know what? It's not even the match. It's the throwing his arms up to the crowd, and you can see him go, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah, you see both arms go up, and that one snap back down. You're like, oh,
Yeah. And then you can see him shaking his wrist back side, going, "Oh fuck, something's not right here."
This is not good.
So he thought, you know what the smartest idea is? I'll get to the steps and do it a bunch more times to make sure it's okay.
Another one in
Okay.
another one in terms of actually getting someone in a good position on night one was Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Because what was it? Did he win 2 Fatal 4-Way matches in one night?
Yes.
One Fatal 4 and then Roman in a singles.
Yeah.
That was it.
And have Roman cut a promo after saying, I respect that dude. He's really... Now, as much as everyone hated Roman at the time, it was the guy who'd been booked at the top guy saying he's really good and he just beat me clean and I respect him.
Fuck off, Roman.
and then winning the world title, 3 weeks later or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then his poor shoulder.
And then Seth decided to toss him at the fucking ringside.
Yeah. That is one of them where the actual debut they've just nailed it, and it was bad circumstances to make it a problem.
Literally just a case of bad luck because they were like, yeah, we've basically rehearsed this exact thing. It wasn't on the fault of either of us. It was literally just a matter of being like 3 centimeters off from where we normally were. So instead of landing on my back, I landed directly on my shoulder blade.
Yeah.
In a way, I'm a little bit glad we never saw that Universal title reign, just because 190-pound first-time World Heavyweight Champion as a face is never booked that strong.
Yeah, but they probably Rey Mysterio'd him.
Yeah.
One of my favourites, and I think it does go under the radar for the actual debut, but Xavier Woods.
Yeah.
Yes.
Coming up in his white suit, confronting Kofi and Big E in the ring, then the birth of the New Day, which was terrible to start with.
Yeah, it's kind of the eternal problem that we've discussed many a time about WWE trying to handle anything with the necessary tact that something like I guess you would term a black excellence stable requires.
Yeah.
And so having him come out and speak, relative truths which were shared by genuine civil rights thinkers, and then also painting him as a heel is a very difficult line to try and manage.
Vince McMahon.
Subtlety? He's never heard of the word. I think the quintessential best debut I've seen so far, but his run has been absolutely just riddled with just ups and downs, is Shinsuke Nakamura's.
Yeah.
I think the reception from the crowd, the entrance, the whole 9 yards of that was truly outstanding. And I mean, people still love that entrance because I believe now it's at 22 million views at the moment on YouTube. So people still love Shinsuke and still love that entrance. But it's just when you talk about Shinsuke, you've got to also talk about his run's not been that great so far.
It's kind of always been like the whole, you're almost reaching the climax and then it just drops. Every time you think you're close, it just goes back down.
Yeah. We got the lovely moment of him winning the Royal Rumble and getting that WrestleMania match, and it's him versus AJ, and yes, it's going to be a great match, and then he kicked AJ in the dick.
Yeah, it was...
they're sneaky Japanese again. I like your booking, Vince. I really do.
Although I did like it afterwards when they had Shinsuke steer into it with the sorry, no speak English.
Yes, I did. I liked that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was steering into his skin and going, yeah, we know, but he is aware of it, so it's different.
God, any more?
I'll tell you, an underrated one for me, I don't hear a lot of people talking about, is Buddy Murphy. Only because I feel like I feel like the promos leading up to his debut in 205 Live were really good. And then he was there to kind of bolster that roster. And he did his job and then some. I remember watching like the amazing matches he had with Ali, the amazing match he had at Super Showdown against Cedric Alexander for the Cruiserweight Championship. I mean, a lot of people were really high on Buddy Murphy at that time. It's just a shame that when he got the call up to go into the main roster after 205 Live, it kind of he's now in a relationship with the entire Mysterio family. So, make of that what you will.
Yeah, no, it's weird for me with Buddy Murphy because I didn't watch 205 Live. So all I saw was when they put matches of his on pay-per-view, which were always fantastic every single time. Yeah. So I would be wondering going, how is this guy not a bigger deal? Like, I only see him once a month, but every time he's like one of the best things on the show.
Yeah, this is the curse of being a fan of cruiserweights in WWE.
Poor Buddy Murphy, though, gets called up 205 Live, gets his first match, and then gets, what was it, the next 2 weeks? Or he's not under 205 pounds, so he's not allowed to be on the show. He's too fat to be here, is what they said.
The thing that I thought that there was a real chance when they had him beat Daniel Bryan clean very early on.
Yeah.
But then I remembered it's Daniel Bryan, he'll put over anyone. It's what they do afterwards.
Yep.
Drew Gulak.
Yeah. The only problem I've really had with Buddy Murphy since we've passed all the kind of the Seth stuff, and we've now just about got past the Mysterio stuff.
So we can go back to Seth.
Still pending on that, but we're going to go back to Seth anyway. Is that I still feel like he hasn't quite found himself as a wrestler. He still hasn't quite worked things out, because it's worth saying he has an absolutely amazing collection of moves and an amazing style. It's just that
loves it.
It's just that every time I watch one of his matches, I feel like I'm watching someone who's watched a compilation of other people's matches.
Yeah.
He's taken everyone's the greatest animated moves in a 2K game and just given them all to himself.
Yeah. And so it's just I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then I look at it again and I'm like, wait, I'm pretty sure I've seen this before. which is really a shame, because I feel like it does a disservice to him.
So
I think I was going to mention one final one if we're still going with it. I was going to mention someone who I kind of just recently got back into watching more. I was going to say American Alpha.
Oh yeah.
Because I was really excited on them coming to main roster at the time, and I'm even now looking back on it, I'm just kind of like, okay, but could we just go back to that, please?
Yeah, they were absolutely my favorite part of NXT for a long time, and I know with the dynamic, it was always leading to Jason Jordan coming in and cleaning house. Yeah. But Team Angle was brilliant. Team Angle 2.0, even better.
Yeah.
And when I was going to say, KC, that NXT show we went to in Sheffield, have you ever seen a show where the one tag team was the most over thing on the show, including everyone in the main event?
Yeah. That was...
It was American Alpha versus the Vaudevillains.
Yeah.
Fantastic match. Absolutely amazing.
I think if memory serves me correct, during that NXT tour of the UK, I believe they went viral when all you would hear, especially in I think it was the Takeover London show, it was just a tube of a load of people going, Jordan, 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 go ball.
This is why UK fans are undefeated.
What? Because they've all been to a football match and can nick the Yaya Polo Tory chant.
That's why we're not allowed nice things.
I always find it funny though that you get, and they always do the same thing when they go to Canada. Obviously, there it was Bizarro World, where it was over here it's just they're a loud, raucous crowd. And I was like, You keep telling us how good of a crowd you are. It'll be really nice. Bring us a pay-per-view and we'll show you how good of a crowd we are.
Yeah.
No, we'll get 2 Raws a year. All right, then.
Yeah.
But no, the Jadel.
Jadel.
Sorry, I don't get to talk about Jason Jordan and Chad Gable very often. I'm very excited, right? Honestly. Obviously, the amount of times I have to try and defend Chad Gable's booking I'm going to say on a monthly basis with the rate we record, but those two were just absolutely fantastic. The athletic ability on them, the work rate. I love the story that got them together. I really hated when they were still doing the towel gimmick, and JBL was like, come on now, guys, you can't be doing it. I was like, what the fuck do you know, man? Like, come on.
Yeah. You used to come out in a cowboy hat.
And a towel. A cowboy hat and a towel.
Look, all I'm saying is, right, in terms of merch, though, Reddy, Willing, and Gable is just like...
Mate, that's a sex towel right there. It's brilliant.
I mean, at least it's a lot better than John Cena's Never Give Up cum rag. But I digress again.
You know.
Thank you, OSW.
Yeah, and so like we'll always be here defending Chad Gable because we all think he's absolutely amazing, and it's a shame that his booking has been as bad as it has been because they could have just made him basically Kurt Angle 2.0, but they just won't let him.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if it's true that his contract's up in a couple of months. We'll see what happens then.
Yeah, we'll see.
There is one other good NXT one that we probably should mention, actually. It just jumped into my head. But again, I like when they make someone a star on night one. And Paige debuting on the main roster.
Paige here.
I know that I didn't like it made AJ Lee look a bit stupid. But she was already established anyway, so they got away with that fine. But like coming in and winning the belt on your first night, although I don't normally like winning the title on the first night, because it was one of the first ones and it was undefeated NXT champion comes up and wins. I thought that was a really good debut as well.
I mean, it was so good that Dwayne Johnson decided to make it into a film. So
yep, which is a very accurate film and not at all like miles out. It's a good film actually, but it's a better film. You don't know what happened.
Yeah. If you don't know the story, it almost works better.
Yeah.
WWE now.
I just like the idea that the Rock's ringside walks away is like, we done good here, guys.
WWE shying away from the fact now that the person who plays AJ Lee is Selena Vega.
Oh yes! Oh god!
It's like I don't know if you ever seen it, if you've been on like the WWE network, but with like certain people who WWE have now like effectively blacklisted, and it's multiple people for multiple reasons. They changed the names of like the timestamps, so it'll be like Eddie Guerrero talks to a friend.
Yeah.
Andrade accompanied by a person.
Yeah, it's like Rey Mysterio talking backstage. They just omit the person. They'll keep them in the thumbnail for the segment, but they'll just take out their name.
It's incredibly weird.
Defends their tag team titles.
Yeah,
it's incredibly weird at the end of WrestleMania 20 when Eddie Guerrero's in the ring hugging no one.
I thought it was Steven Richards.
It's definitely Steven Richards. Yeah.
My bad.
Do you remember that match between Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and then no one else? It was weird that they announced it as a triple threat when it was just those two guys in the ring. But
you see, it was the original debut of God, who then ended up being Shawn Michaels' tag team partner.
I was gonna say, I thought, it's nice to see them giving some love to Vacant, but we can't always have it our way.
Nah, no one knows how to give love to Vacant quite like Vince Russo in 2000.
I think even Vacant was angry at that point.
Yeah.
So, on to the fun part.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. Fun, sad, probably
a bit of
quite
everything.
upsetting.
Pick from the buffet.
It's
Take a deep breath, everyone. There's going to be a lot of names here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them, though, that you think of. A lot of them, it wasn't the call-up night itself. It's like the opposite of, before when we said good initial night and then it went wrong. A lot of these, it's not the initial night, it's what follows. Like the first one that comes to mind for me, because it was someone who I thought right, can't miss. You cannot miss Ricochet.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, like we said, it's the curse of being a fan of cruiserweights in WWE.
I thought Ricochet was the most guaranteed star that they had in developmental. I just thought all you need to do is put him in the ring, and that's all you need to do. And they have somehow managed to make me hate him. But
It just speaks to the weird decisions that these guys do, because it was like when he was in New Japan, it was like, okay, look, we know he's not the best on the mic, so we'll keep him away from those segments. We'll just let him do ridiculous stuff in the ring and be like, look, I can go with the best of them. Let him tell the story in the ring, do the physical storytelling. Because again, I think people forget, in amongst everything else, Ricochet, fantastic bumper, fantastic seller when he has the chance to work a long match. But like they were just like, we know that he's weak on the mic, so let's just put him into a feud with a person who is incredibly good on the mic and we expect to be one of our future talents, as long as nothing incredibly bad came out about them.
Yeah.
So it just kind of speaks to the weird decision making that they often tend to have. Because like I said, to my mind, Ricochet was always going to be a future star, and WWE's always been looking for their route back into the Mexican market, if you will. And they're trying to find like the next like super high flying luchador, but then they basically tried Sin Cara and it didn't work. And like, if you wanted to, you could have pivoted it as them trying to say like, hey, look, we're getting guys from over in New Japan now. Even they want to come over here. And then they're just like, I think I will make him a jobber. And it's just kind of like, you don't really know where to go from there.
Yeah.
Speaking of Japan, Hideo Itami as well, his call up.
Oh, poor Hideo.
Oh.
See, as a very long-time fan of Kenta, this one stings a hell of a lot more than most other call-ups for me. Not only because of his terrible luck with injuries in NXT, but it's just when he got called up and then shoved into 205 Live, and then the whole "you must respect me" story that never went anywhere. And then suddenly he's in a fatal 4-way at the Rumble. And that's it. That's the whole tale of Hideo Itami in WWE.
I find it so weird that Hideo Itami got more injuries in WWE than like an entire career of working in Noah.
Yeah.
And
it is very unlikely that, but
yeah, and now he's gone to New Japan and is like, again, been basically injury free for like a year and a half at this point. I don't know what was happening.
No, it's amazing how twatting your opponent will make you injury free.
One that I think everyone will agree, maybe not because of his character, but because, I mean, this man was NXT champion, and now look at him. Poor Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
I would say that the actual debut itself was all right.
No.
For about four weeks ish, it was quite good.
He won a tournament to get into the Royal Rumble to eliminate Barrett, who was Intercontinental Champion, to do nothing.
Yeah. Started fine, but then off a cliff.
Yeah, it's really weird with Bo Dallas, because I don't know that there's anyone out there who considers him to be bad or anything. I remember the Bo Lee thing got pretty over with people.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is or what their issue with him is. He's been off TV since 2019 at this point.
Yeah, there's an interview with, I think it's R-Truth that the interview's with, and he says Bo Dallas is the best talent that is not being used at WWE currently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's probably one of, well, I'm going to say he's one of a few, but no, there's a lot of talent at WWE that's not being used currently.
Oh, I'd say another quintessential one you got to talk about when it comes to worst call-ups is the Revival. Not necessarily a bad debut at all. It was actually a pretty damn good debut, very solid, strong debut that kind of put Wilder and Dawson. You knew what they were. There were no gimmicks. There were no flips, just fists. And then it just went And I don't think a lot of that is on them. A lot of it is on just Vince's hatred for the tag team division.
Yeah.
What is tag team wrestling?
Again, there's these. I'd love to know. Because every now and again, when there was like a takeover or one of the early NXT shows on, you'd always get Vince tweeting that, man, I'm loving this action and stuff like that. I'd love to know how much of any of these guys he ever really watched, because you had the ending of that takeover tag match where those two guys are in the submissions and they're holding each other's hands to stop them from tapping out. And it's an electric ending to a match.
Yeah.
And you're just going, someone please just put Vince in like the modified Ludovico and just show him NXT for 2 days and he'll think it's the best shit. But like, I don't.
Well, have you guys heard the supposed story about why Vince hates tag teams now?
No, I haven't.
We've shared this on our show before, but apparently one of the reasons behind Vince not liking tag teams anymore is that obviously tag teams are. If you have a tag team match, it's 4 people, which is then more people you have to send out to shows and pay travel expenses for.
Well, I mean, not at the moment, but
not at the moment. But apparently that was like the prevailing thing for like 2019 about why he was booking tag teams on shows less.
He must have fucking hated Teddy Long.
Yeah. No, because that was always singles guys.
Versus The Undertaker.
I've always found it so weird, though, that a company that had an arguable boom period where, like, some of the most, loved matches of all time are things like, TLC 1 and 2, Edge and Christian, Hardy Boys, that kind of period, the Dudleys, were like tag teams were one of the division was like one of the most interesting things going. I remember like SmackDown like 2005-6 when London and Kendrick were like probably the second biggest stars on the show as the in the tag division. So it always seems really weird to me that there's just this weird like rejection of tag team wrestling now in WWE.
Yeah. Speaking of tag teams, actually, I've just realised where it was shit right from the debut. And I'm not saying that there could have been the biggest thing in the world, but there could have been something. The Ascension.
Yeah.
Yep.
Call up, immediately get bullied by all the legends.
It's like, if you're Triple H and someone says to you, right, we're going to call up the your tag team champions, the Ascension, longest reigning NXT champions, and stayed that. I don't know if they still are, but they were for a long time. And then someone's going to go, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to reunite the APA, get the New Age Outlaws back, who are going to make fun of them and then kill them.
I think
they've beaten everyone in their path. And I know, like, Victor wasn't even that big, but they've still destroyed everyone. Too Cool came back and they killed them as well.
Yes. They built them up to such a degree that the people to finally get on top of them were a debuting Finn Balor and Hideo Itami.
Yeah. God, there it was.
And then they looked at that. I know, I can sort of see it that they also have face paint, but they are nothing like LOD. Like, come on, they don't need shoulder spikes.
I still
You've called them up to call them an LOD ripoff when that's not what they were.
Yeah. Still didn't get all the fucking Illuminati symbols and shit that went on in, why?
Yeah.
No, you are right. They are the longest reigning NXT tag team champions, 364 days.
And then that.
Yeah. In fact, who did they lose them to? Were it Lucha Dragons they lost them to?
Yes. Yeah, it was. And then I think they lost to Blake and Murphy, I think.
Well,
now we're going all the way back to dubstep.
Yeah. Actually, I'll tell you what, that's one we missed off the best because she wasn't that much of a thing in NXT, but the Alexa Bliss call-up. She was it turned her into a much bigger star very quickly.
Yeah, it is always weird going back and seeing Alexa Bliss when she debuted.
What Sparkle?
Yes.
I'm cheerleader Barbie.
Pretty much.
Right, so shall we get Mojo Rawley out of the way now then, yeah?
That don't bother me because he was shit in NXT as well.
Well, that was the thing.
Yeah, the thing with Mojo Rawley is that I can't even think in my head about like anything he's actually done. Was he tag team champs at one point with Zack Ryder?
Hype Bros.
Yeah,
I think I remember that
Did
being
they
a
win the
thing.
belt? I believe you. I just don't remember it.
Yeah, I mean, because that was on Breaking Ground as well, and Zack Ryder was always quite interesting to listen to on that because he was still main roster as well.
Yeah,
and he's there like, obviously, I don't get booked that often, so I'm going and doing house shows, but I've also got to make this work. And I think it was fairly clear early on they probably didn't get on that well.
I can imagine
Zack
that.
Ryder was
Then
just
again,
like, why am I in NXT?
I was gonna say, I feel like I've heard that generally people didn't get on too great with Mojo Rawley.
Well, I mean, have you heard him? You'd
That
want to
is
kill
also
him if you had to
true.
spend more than 2 minutes with him.
I mean, there's a reason why he's best friends with the Gronk.
Yeah, it was exactly the same, only turned up to 14. Although he did catch 2 passes they did catch 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl this year, so he obviously is still that good.
It's true that.
He's still got some of it.
He wasn't that good through the season. He did well in that one game. You know, like Tom Brady just appears for that one game.
Well, I mean,
They have
he
their
did have more
moments.
than one.
Yeah, one every one every year for 7 years. Another one, Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger.
Debut.
The thing with Ty Dillinger is I always feel very conflicted because I see a lot of people say that, like, you know, he's one of those people destined for greatness, though I don't know that I've necessarily ever seen him, you know, get towards that point.
Yeah.
I don't. He's one. I think he's really good, but I don't think he's a star.
Yeah.
His debut, because was his debut number 10 in the Rumble?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just trying to remember if there was anything before that. I didn't think there was. So the debut itself was pretty good.
You're like, yeah,
I mean,
number
it
10
made
in the Rumble.
sense for WWE, which is a start.
Yeah.
Number 10 in the Rumble. And then went, you know what we should do next year? It should come out number 10. Fuck. It's like he could pick his own number.
You know, sometimes my genius is overwhelming.
I love the whole rise of the Perfect 10 because that was kind of, it started out as a bit of a throwaway thing, and then like Full Sail being Full Sail just fully embraced it and turned it into this, and that I always think that's one of the almost became a downfall of getting called up is that Full Sail would sell almost any gimmick, and like well, Emma's one. I think Adam Rose was another one.
Dude, No Way Jose in NXT went absolutely crazy.
I love No Way Jose. Like I was at an NXT house show in Portland because I went to America once, guys. It does get referenced, I know. But and him basically doing the conga up and down like the seating area and stuff. And it's strange to see a guy that big just like, no, I'm here to dance for a while.
Adam Rose 2.0.
Yeah. And it was just this idea of like, okay, so what do we add to this idea? Well, then he goes and wrestles. Like, yeah, but like, what's his motivation once he's wrestling? He likes to dance? I don't know. Like,
oh, God. He still has one of the worst finishes, the pop-up punch.
Yes.
If you'd have thought, like, oh, God, what's it? Is it Eddie? What Eddie from Mortal Kombat that just does all the crazy dancing? If you'd have thought
Eddie
like
from
him.
Tekken.
Tekken, from Tekken. Completely fine with that. I'm fine with him having a conga and then doing that. but pop-up punch as a finisher. And then he had those awful green fucking braids towards the end.
I that always makes me want to say that because it is technically established in kayfabe that Braun Strowman walked past No Way Jose so that he could pick Nicholas.
Yeah, Braun Strowman, who was, a rosebud.
Yeah. There were all rosebuds at one point.
I think I even worked the gimmick at one point. I don't know.
To be fair, have you seen a photo of Adam Rose recently?
No.
Guys,
I will say one of my favorite wrestling stories is if you ever hear Justin Gabriel, as he's now known, PJ Black, talk about his time as one of the recurring members of the Rosebuds and how much he absolutely hated it.
that must have really hurt.
The bunny thing.
He was the bunny.
Yeah.
Oh God, I forgot about the bunny.
One of the worst experiences of his life, having to perform in a ring in that outfit.
And he was still better than most of the people around him.
Yeah.
The thing is, I can't remember how that played out. Who did they ever reveal who was the bunny, or did he just disappear?
No, apparently the kibosh story was that they wanted to make a joke out of it, and it was actually Vince in the bunny suit.
Oh,
that got shut down immediately. That got shut down though very quickly, and so
when they realized
Vince just did it for months and then left the company.
He's got previous for that. If they write a story and they don't know the ending, Vince has got previous for saying it was me.
That is true.
The sad thing with... Sorry, go on.
If you're doing this with a buddy that's been doing 450s for the past 3 weeks and then reveal it as Vince, the poor guy broke his hip taking an F5.
He tore both his quads entering the ring once.
I always find and because again, we're talking to someone, he was game show NXT.
Yeah.
But I think when he did Art of Wrestling, he's got this really compelling story in his life.
Oh yeah.
And WWE, main roster WWE, has so little intention of telling you anything real about people. The promo videos when Apollo Crews debuted on NXT, because they did 3 10-minute videos about him, I think, where he's talking about his family and his dad, and you really wanted to root for this guy, and you're just give me something like that on Raw, SmackDown for a few minutes.
It's really crazy, especially when they have people like him, and so you take the context around it. He is the first South African wrestler they ever had, and so they just
the Truth Commission.
sorry, I forgot.
Don't you ever forget Paul Buchanan?
And literally, they mentioned that in game show NXT maybe twice, just as a random side comment. I'm just thinking no, make a point out of this.
And
you can get something out of this.
And they do the same thing with the network now, the documentaries they put out, which to establish these characters. Because I remember they did the one tracking Seth Rollins' rehab, and you were just there going, "Oh man, I'm so stoked for Seth Rollins to come back," and he's still a heel, and you're like, "No," because look at how hard this guy has fought to come back. You did such a good job, and then went, "Nah, just messing."
Imagine if when Triple H came back in Madison Square Garden after the quad tear, if he'd have come back as a heel, when they'd spent the whole time talking about his comeback from injury and playing U2.
Yeah. Seth needed more U2 for him to get over all that, basically.
No one needs more U2.
They played U2 and then he came out to Motorhead. Oh.
That's it. It's alone.
We've missed. I know we've missed a hell of a lot of the good call-ups, but one when I've just been scrolling, then the actual debut of Enzo and Big Cass.
Yeah, I feel like for me, in retrospect, it gets
he gets knocked down, but Cass is in phenomenal shape now.
Oh, dude's absolutely jacked.
Yeah, no, the debut itself, that was the pop in the arena was huge.
Yeah.
Devon Dudley wasn't happy about it, but Getting called out for having a lazy eye.
In fairness, The Rock did the exact same thing to Perry Saturn.
Yeah.
Sure.
As a matter of fact, he did this. He did a very similar thing to Bubba when Bubba had a stutter, and he went, "It doesn't matter."
Because, of course, as we know from WWE, a stutter is the most hilarious thing in the world, apparently.
Oh, mate, guaranteed to be over 100% of the time. It basically never fails.
Matt Morgan, where are you?
Oh God, who was it? Who was it that did it with in like 2005?
It was Matt Morgan.
Matt Morgan.
Yeah.
Dude, the blueprint, the DNA of TNA.
And now the mayor of somewhere in Florida, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah, he's the mayor of somewhere.
If you want to see one of the most confusing things of all time, here's some more niche wrestling stuff. Did you know that TNA briefly attempted an expansion into India?
Yes, Rinka King.
Rinka King. Go and watch Matt Morgan in Rinka King. It's one of the most confusing things you'll ever see. You ever seen a man just not fit in somewhere? Scott Steiner fits in more than him.
I have thought of one more awful one that really pissed me off at the time and still does. Because, yeah, he wouldn't have been world champion, but he could have been like, I don't want to just use another blonde guy, but he could have been like Ziggler levels of big easily. Tyler Breeze.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so my one was going to be Breezango. Purely because just from the moment they brought them in, it's like they were committed to doing anything but give them the tag titles in a time that could have really used Breezango on main roster. Like they would have been the perfect kind of tag team for them to have, and they're just like, no. And it's so weird because they gave them stuff like the Fashion Police segments, which were frankly fantastic in my mind.
Yeah. The singles one annoyed me more because I just thought when he came up the first time, I really thought, right, you've got something here. And I think that they had him lose by roll up to Ziggler the second match. I think he won the first one with like feet on the ropes. Also, it was really, it was nothing. And I remember
it was very confusing booking on all ends.
Yeah, I remember I saw they had a match for they had a match on a house show that I went to, did Breeze and Ziggler, and it was really a proper. I know at house show the crowd is never going to be that big, but properly no one cared. Like at all, they'd killed it in 2 weeks.
And again, that was another one where like Full Sail just turned him into a star, and like deservedly so. Like that when you had that fatal 4-way, I like. What's Tyler? Yeah, Tyler Breeze was in there. He was fantastic.
I mean, Christ, the man had a match against Jushin Thunder Liger at Takeover.
I always find it really funny, like because I think it's again during Breaking Ground. Like I love that show. Any WWE like between Tough Enough and Breaking Ground, like I can watch them over and over again. And like you've got Tyler Breeze is there like producing matches as well. He's just like, this is how good this man is. Like, can someone please do something with him?
Yeah,
it's almost like he got punished for leaving a television show really early or something.
I've got another tag team for you, and this is partially down to a slight tweak to the act they made. Akam and Rezar got the call up, and they thought, no, we don't need Paul Ellering. Get us Drake Maverick.
But not just Drake Maverick. Drake Maverick with a urine problem.
Oh, God. Like, I could understand if they didn't want to have a manager. That's like the idea of them going, no, we have outgrown you now, was a little bit sad because like Paul Ellering's an absolute beast still.
Yeah.
But to then go, no, we're going to be led by 5'7" Drake Maverick in a bulletproof vest who, like you say, wets himself.
I'm trying to think where in the context of Drake Maverick this is. That's a statement I never thought I'd say. Was this before or after he was the general manager of 205 Live?
It was during.
During.
Yeah, during, because his debut was Daniel Bryan bringing him out as 205.
Spud.
This is Drake Maverick. Boo.
You can see it in Brian's face as he's just about to say it. He knows what's going to happen.
He knows exactly what the reaction's going to be.
Daniel Bryan has enough job security that there must have been a voice in his head going, I'm just going to call him Spud.
And again, he's another guy as well where if you went off like his and EC3's Instagram account, you're just sat there screaming, put those two together. Like I know TNA did it, but you seem to be okay calling Samoa Joe still. Like, come on, get over yourselves now.
I'm waiting for him to lose his last name and just be called Samoa.
It's just Joe.
No, just Joe's been done. That's Joey Lynch.
I was going to say, don't.
Just Samoa.
No, that's
don't have the same ring.
Samoa Steve.
I still think the first one was when he joined. It was a Joey Samoa.
Joey Samoa.
I mean, when they first talked about, or when they were first signing, or attempt to sign Nigel McGuinness, I just love seeing someone's comment of, I can't wait to see what they call Nigel McBeerbrand.
They do it with so many people. It's like Tamina, when they announce Tamina and they go, from the Pacific Islands, which one? She was born in Washington.
But even if you're going to say that she's from where her heritage is, at least say a specific island.
Yeah. From one of them, we didn't have the time to pick one.
Yeah.
So before we do wrap this up, I want to know from you what your favorite NXT match of all time is.
Oh Jesus! Just drop that on us.
Yeah, just
oh jeez.
If you just one that comes to the front of your mind now and go, God, I love that match.
First thing that came into my head was Zayn and Nakamura.
Yeah,
take over
Nakamura's debut. That was the first. That was the first one that came to my mind. And to be honest, if I actually thought about it, I think that the first four all have Sami Zayn in it, which says a lot.
Until Nakamura and Bryan are allowed to go like full ham against each other in like a 30-minute match, I think Zayn versus Nakamura is the closest we're going to get to the closest we'll get to, say, a New Japan match in WWE.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing, that match. I loved it so much.
I can give you two. I cannot narrow it down further.
Yeah, fuck you then.
The first one is, strangely enough, it's Sami Zayn against Cesaro, 2 out of 3 falls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great shout.
And I just need to double check this. Actually.
Which show can you not remember which show it was?
On February the 16th, 2020, I can't remember if I mentioned this, I got to go to Takeover Portland.
Oh no, I don't know if you mentioned that, but thank you for doing it.
What's a Portland?
Portland Dorset. I didn't know NXT toured.
And I got to see Keith Lee versus a member of Retribution live in person, and it was amazing.
Dude, was it Slapjack?
Is it Slapjack T-Bar? I don't know. I can never remember.
It is T-Bar.
Okay, cool.
T-Bar.
Yeah, Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic, which I know I'd seen about 5 times on TV already. But what's not to love about two big bastards knocking the shit out of each other?
And then doing
fair,
5 minutes of cruiserweight spots in the middle.
I know we're like way past this point right now, but talking about call-ups that didn't work out the way we wanted it to. Was it TM61?
Yeah.
Shane Thorne and Nick Miller. Because I absolutely love those guys, watch them in Noah, and so seeing them get to WWE and then just kind of going nowhere, I'm like, oh, that's...
Well, what it Nick Miller that just decided he wanted to go back to Australia?
Yeah, he was like, I don't want to be here anymore, so I'm just going to go.
And poor Shane Thorne
and
just
and then they put him with the other Australian, Brendan Vink.
Yeah.
Brendan Vink.
Yeah. Where'd he go?
I believe he's still with the company, but I know that he got held off TV because he got into a lawsuit.
Oh,
Didn't he end up in for 2 weeks tagging with Austin Theory, and then they pulled that as well?
I think they pulled that, and then he got into a legal copyright battle because he changed his name to Tony Gudra, who is a Aussie rules football player.
I did hear about that. I'd forgotten about it completely.
And so, as far as I know, that's still going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's a real shame because I absolutely love those guys and they're absolutely great talent. And the time they did have to get showcased, I thought they were pretty fantastic. But
Yeah,
they went nowhere.
Their Dusty final match that they had at Takeover, that was fantastic.
Yeah. Quick clarifier for the favorite NXT match: am I allowed to include Worlds Collide?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Ooh, you're not the host. Yeah, go on.
Because if we're saying just purely NXT, Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe, and I believe it was the ladder match.
I'm trying to think because Finn Balor and Owens had a ladder match that followed. That's what came after Bayley and Sasha, which is up there.
Okay,
well.
no, I'm thinking specifically of Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe, so I'm probably getting the two mixed up.
They may have done a ladder match as well. They did the steel cage match.
Yeah.
Which was isn't that when Joe beat the Demon?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, anything involving those two guys, I would absolutely love because they're two of my favorite wrestlers of their own separate periods.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely fantastic. They're two guys who are just so in tune with each other and can really just work any style.
Yeah.
So those two guys coming together can absolutely just put on absolute magic. For talking about Worlds Collide, if for anyone who hasn't watched it, Ilya Dragunov versus Cesaro. Absolutely a match worth going out and finding. They're a fantastic pairing and they really had everything going for them. And also the UK crowd absolutely just gave them every single bit of love and appreciation they could for it.
Nice.
So because Casey took my my choice of Cesaro versus Zayn, 2 out of 3 falls, I have to go.
My bad.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But I thought I was going to do a deep cut and no one would take. Dang it, Casey. But no, my second choice definitely has to be Andrade Cien Almas versus Johnny Gargano at Takeover Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That was unreal.
That was so unreal. For a moment, I thought to myself, "Good God, is this real? Are they really doing this in WWE? They're letting these two put on a match like this?" No, absolutely outstanding. And I can now fully understand why Triple H has been very much of no, I want to make this a third brand now because I want to keep these people and you're not having them anymore, Vince.
Look at the size of Johnny and Tommaso. You're not having them. You'll ruin them.
You had them for 1 week. You ruined it. I want them back.
Yeah. Oh, these have been in the middle of a 2-year blood feud, have they? Let's call them up as a tag team.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I know I didn't include him in either of the matches I picked, but I do think it probably would have been scandalous for between 5 of us to go through our favorite NXT matches and someone not mention Johnny Gargano.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he made it.
If I was adding another one, I would have said Revival DIY.
Yeah. That's definitely up there. This is just a random thing as well. It just came to me at a random point, but I know because I love mentioning it to Sam. It was Cesaro and Kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that tag team.
Absolutely amazing pairing. Absolutely love their matches in NXT.
Yeah.
Tyson Kidd in NXT was great. So good.
Yeah.
Completely built different.
Yeah.
So the match that I did originally have was Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor in that ladder match.
Yeah.
I do also really fear for Finn's ankle every time I see that coup de grace off the top of the ladder and think, why did he not just turn around and grab the title? But the actual match that I'm going to go for is Aleister Black versus Adam Cole in that Extreme Rules match.
Yeah, absolutely love that match as well.
Had that match, then Adam Cole went, I'm going to go do 25 minutes in the Royal Rumble the next night. Madman. But
At least I believe that they did strap up his ribs, though. So at least,
Yeah, he got something at least.
But yeah, I think he's another one that you have to put in there. If you're going to talk about good matches, Adam Cole has to be there.
Yeah.
Oh no, Adam Cole has to be there. I mean, again, I was debating talking about Aleister Black because I feel like he's such a 50-50 person in the scheme of this. Because like, if we're talking Aleister Black in NXT, I mean, again, completely different being to what he eventually became on Main.
Well, it's weird, the Aleister Black one, because it wasn't so much bad, it was just disappearing. Because like he barely lost for a year.
Yeah, no, that's the thing about it, is that they never made him look weak. They let him have good matches pretty regularly, but he just kind of went nowhere.
Yeah, because like going into the Rumble that Drew won, everyone was saying it's Drew or Aleister Black.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that now.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were saying it was down to kind of the whole thing around where Paul Heyman was.
Yeah.
And how Paul Heyman was like, no, Aleister Black is like one of my stars for the future. I want him. But then they're like, no, we'll keep him here. And then when Aleister Black moved, Paul Heyman then also moved the opposite direction.
Yeah.
It's amazing what a year can do. Suddenly Paul Heyman's in the creative, and now this year we've got Bruce Pritchard and John Laurinaitis back in the creative team. It's full circle, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. I wonder who John Laurinaitis will get to go in the hot tub with him this time. Allegedly.
I genuinely don't want to know.
Hey, Johnny Gargano, get in the tub with me.
Thinking of John Laurinaitis.
I had to.
John Laurinaitis.
Hang on, but if he gets in with Johnny Gargano, doesn't that mean that he has to marry Johnny Gargano's mum?
If you don't got it, get it. And if you don't get it, figure it out, as he says. I'm now married to Mrs. Wrestling Laurinaitis. Right?
So on that note, God, it's been a fun podcast. Bit strange. Lots of laughs. A few downs thinking about some of the horribly wasted talent. But
again, such is the curse.
Yeah. Before we do the proper outro, I'm going to put on a quick video that's going to show you all the live videos that go here on the Buzz. Make sure that you check them all out.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute is chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you don't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by your locksmith. On the block throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look with the top dish. Tie game, through the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot, switch.
Yeah, guys, make sure you go check out all the fantastic live shows on the Buzz, and make sure that you follow the Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at WTBdotcom. But that'll do us for this episode of Armchair Wrestling. So a big thanks to Sam and Dan from Sweet Chinwag podcast. Make sure you go follow them. It's scrolling on the bottom at the moment, but make sure you go follow them on Twitter at Sweet Chinwag and check out their fantastic podcast because it's incredible. And one of them's got me on, so probably avoid that one.
No, we highly recommend that one because that one was just absolute feral energy.
What we do best.
What were you doing?
Talking about Chris Jericho.
Were you talking about Jericho's career or personal life, Chris Jericho?
Yes.
Yes.
I say I still haven't seen it said better than that I saw on Twitter. The Ayatollah of Rock and Rona.
I hate how accurate that statement is.
Yeah, but guys, make sure you go check out Sweet Chinwag. And like I said, big thanks to Sam and Dan for both coming on this episode. Obviously, we've also been joined by Mr. Soko Uncensored himself, KC.
Cheers.
And Lukewarm Jack Robshaw.
In a bit.
We'll be back at some point. You know us, we never schedule anything properly. But seeing as Casey, you won't have a job soon, we'll probably be back more
I
regularly.
will have a job. I'll just have a different job that's less interesting.
No,
With recording.
in my head,
He's actually on a loan period to a new club.
To be honest, if you could find me another wrestling podcast to get me some more experience, it's probably for the best.
Yeah, we'll loan you to Portland and we'll see if you can find one. Because I don't know if you've ever been there before.
To be honest, if I'm being honest, I'm trying to make that a permanent move.
Good. Fuck off. But we'll see you guys.
Gets signed by the Trailblazers.
He's not blazing any trail. And on that note, we'll see you guys in a